Hi, and welcome to Meal Mentor Live. I am Scott Nixon. I am one of the co-founders of Happy Herbivore and Meal Mentor with my wife, Lindsay. And today we are going to interview a customer of ours named Rose. And Rose has been plant-based for 9 years, and she has learned how to make it work with a family and lose weight and all kinds of great things that everybody is looking to do with this diet. So, Rose, go ahead and introduce yourself, and we will get us started.
Hi, guys. I'm Rose. I'm originally from New Zealand, but I've lived in the UK for the last nearly 11 years. And yeah, like Scott said, I've been vegan for 9 years, but really not a very good advert for that lifestyle until probably January, when I took the plunge and made some pretty major changes to my life.
Cool. So, can you talked a little bit about how you were maybe a Meal Mentor customer and kind of left and came back. Can you explain what happened there?
I am I'm a bit of a classic yo-yo dieter. So I'm an all or nothing type of person. So in the past, I've tried lots of different diets, including Meal Mentor, and it's always been the case that I've got to a weight where I was like, wow, look at me, isn't this amazing? I've lost all this weight. And people obviously notice and they say, oh, well, I can't believe you've lost all this weight. How have you done it? And then because you've got to that point, you suddenly go, oh, well, now I can sort of include more things back in, and then you get back into bad habits. And so prior to this time, the last sort of 7 months, twice before, I've been a customer. And this time, though, it's like, I don't know, it feels like a switch is turned on or something, and I just got to a point in January where I was like, I'm so sick of this cycle. I'm sick of feeling embarrassed because people know that I'm a vegan and yet I'm overweight, and they think, well, why would I change my lifestyle if that's what vegans look like? And I got to a point where I was just like, you know what, it hurts too much to not do something. And all that knowledge that I've had in the past about, you know, calories in, calories out, what different food does to your body, the dangers of having too much sugar in your diet, the processed junk that particularly I think in the last 5 years has suddenly become available in the vegan market. And so I would like easily eat a whole packet of Oreos and just be like, well, they're vegan, it's fine.
Yeah.
That the pain of not doing something became more than the potential pain of losing those foods that I loved. And my husband said to me in January and February, he's not plant-based, but he eats what he's given. He's well trained. He said to me, oh, well, you'll still have fun, won't you? You know, you'll give yourself a break. And I actually said to him, those things aren't fun to me anymore. Like, I used to love sugary food, but they made me unhappy. Like, happy in the moment of eating them, but really unhappy long term. Mm-hmm. And so although I've done these things and they've worked before, there was something not right in how I was approaching it. And I went back to Meal Mentor because I really, like, I relate to what Lindsay believes and what you guys do with how you about the flavorings, and so I knew it had worked, and I knew that ethos was something I could buy into.
That's great. So, you know, we have a comment from Kate who actually said that she can relate to this so much, and this is the entire point of these interviews, is that people go through this same stuff and they think they're alone, or that this is something that, this is just, I'm just struggling with this thing, but everybody else just figures it out, right? And that's the thing, is everybody has a lot of these different struggles, right? And I mean, everybody's struggle's not the same, but and so to the audience, if you guys are enjoying Rose's story, please like and leave comments, because that makes it actually spread more, so more people get to hear the story, because it makes it really does make a difference. And being able to understand people's stories is how, like, we can learn to kind of overcome some of these things. And I think, gosh, you said something that I thought was really, really interesting about how you were kind of sick of the kind of the cycle of going on and off, and I think that really resonated with me myself. I've never considered myself a dieter, so to speak, but I totally connect with this idea of like losing weight and kind of gaining weight, and losing weight, gaining weight, even because I'm not necessarily always behaving as the best I am. And it's so sorry, I know I'm kind of taking over, but there's this thing that I wanted to say, where it's actually really bad to moralize and say good or bad, because guess what? We like being bad. And so it's the better thing to say is to say, this is moving me towards my goals or moving me away from my goals.
No, I absolutely agree with that 100%. But I also think that one of the things that changed was what my goals were changed as well.
Nice.
So I wanted to be a certain way, and I'm not quite there, but I also wanted to be in a position where, I've got a little boy, he's 15 months old, and before he was born, my goals for him were to predominantly feed him plant-based food, but once he was born, everything sort of changed. So I really morally couldn't bring myself to allow him to eat any animal products, because he was so innocent, and so I felt like I didn't know enough about how food actually, on almost like a biological level, impacted you. I knew there was good food and bad food, so that need then to have goals that also included what is really healthy. How am I going to make sure that I'm a really good role model and I stay healthy for him, and then that what I feed him fulfills all those dietary needs. And so it meant then that it wasn't just about losing weight, but also about having a whole mentality shift in terms of how I viewed food. And so reading something like How Not to Die pretty much changed my life, and I'm obsessed with the Daily Dozen. So that's now a goal, like a daily goal, to tick off those things on my app. And then just the fact that my goal to not eat as much processed sugar. So instead of falling into that trap of, there's cake one bit, or one biscuit won't make a difference, or cookie. Sorry, some of my words, Americans, sorry out there.
No, that's fine.
My New Zealand, UK.
It just makes you more charming. Yeah, that's all it is. Yeah.
It's all those goals are not just about losing weight anymore. It's about me being better for myself and for him. And also so that when people look at me, they don't just go, oh, she's lost weight. But actually when I say, this is what I'm doing, there's a real, I think I would use the word almost evangelical about it. It's a little bit of this internal conviction, like not wanting to push it on other people, but feeling so strongly about it that it sort of changes how you view the world almost. I don't know, that sounds weird and maybe over the top, but it has been that much of a strong shift from where I was, say, even in January when I started back on the Meal Mentor stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that's fantastic. So one of the things I would like to kind of dig into a little more is, what are the things that are kind of going good with, now that in the last 7 months, like you're kind of recommitting, you're maybe incorporating this more into your family with your son, and maybe your husband's getting involved at some level. I'm just kind of curious, what's the kind of stuff that's worked that you figured out?
I think one of the things that I'm really bad at is, well, there are two things. I am terrible with my portion size. Like it's vegan, so I'll just eat tons of it, and it's there, it would be a shame for it to go to waste. And the other thing I'm really not great at is being prepared, so I will just grab something. And once you've been a vegan for as long as I have, you know how to read a label really fast, and what junk or things that are ready to eat you can just get off the shelf. So for me, the idea of doing batch cooking was just this revelation, because even before, when I'd done Meal Mentor, I had it there, but I don't have time to do that, and it's not really how our life works. So batch cooking has blown my mind. That ability to just open my fridge or my freezer, so much of it freezes as well, and just pull out what I need for the day, and have overnight oats or a thing of we call it porridge, but oatmeal, I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
Just have it there and just ready to go. And that, to me, has been the one thing that I am like, it's changed my ability to control myself as well. Because if I've got it there, then it doesn't mean that temptation to go and get a packet of crisps or chips or it's just not there anymore. So
what do you think keeps you in this virtuous cycle of preparing more regularly?
I'm not entirely sure. I'm quite stubborn. So my husband said, you are an all or nothing person. And it just is one of those things where this time, with that switch going on and the gradual change and knowing how much I've changed and how much effort I've had to put in to get to this point, it just has become easier to say no when I'm tempted. Like last night, my husband said, do you want a small glass of wine? And I was like, no, I'm going to have some fruit and yogurt. And he was like, rolled his eyes at me. I was like, sorry. Sorry, I've lost my train of thought now, laughing at him.
No, that's totally...
at me. It's just, I am so determined now not to go back to where I was. And I was so unhappy in January. That was the thing. There was a photo of me at Christmas where I was as deep as I was wide. And I was like, how has it got to that point? Because I think sometimes you look at yourself and you think, I feel the same, and therefore in your head you can reason with yourself that it's not got as bad as it actually has. And I just thought, I just can't. I'm so unhappy with not fitting any clothes and not feeling like, even if I go out and do exercise, like I have to do it in the dark because I don't want people to see me running down the street or something like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I think it's just an internal motivation that, genuinely, Sorry.
No, it's totally fine because I think I connected to what you were saying. So, if anybody watching connected to it, please thumbs up or like it or ask a question. I think. I'm trying to get, it's good to get people engaged a little bit because I think there's a lot of people watching and I think, they're totally understanding where you're coming from. So I think, sometimes you just have to prompt people to do stuff. And it's interesting because, we would like to be into, it's one of the things that we strive to try to do more of is help prompt people and kind of build these habits and these different things in their life that kind of help them move towards the goals and accomplish the things that they want to accomplish, both for their family and their diet and being prepared and all of that stuff. I mean, I think, so much of so much of like the preparing the food ahead, I think, is it's just kind of about just kind of getting started a little bit. And like I think the it's funny because I'm not like I almost would like to study this like a researcher. Not that I've ever done anything like that, but it's I wonder if doing overnight oats, because that is something that actually is very, very quick to do. It's something that like probably less than like 3 minutes you could prepare overnight oats, and it's something that I wonder if like that kind of could help some people get the ball rolling. It's like you do the overnight oats, and then the next thing you're like, oh well, that was so easy, and so like, well, maybe I'll prepare something else, and so. I think because we're just creatures of habit, and we need to slowly kind of incorporate, because you can't just go from no cooking or limited cooking, like maybe once a week or something like that, to cooking every day, 3 meals a day. I mean, that's just a lot to ask for.
Yeah, I think I would also say that there are so many options on the menus that if there are things that you really like, make sure you jot them down, because you can go back to them. Like, I love the tailgate chili. I'm like, if anyone asks for an opinion on the forum, I'm like, oh, tailgate chili, make that for your family. But it freezes so well, it makes a massive amount. And if there's only 2 of you, or even 3 of you, you can make the family what's meant to be for 4, and you'll have leftovers for the next day, or double it. And I've got such a full freezer, not just of tailgate chili, but of other stuff as well. So like the bistro beef burgers, and that then gives you a fallback as well. And I think I was already freezing them, but I think it's also really reassuring when you get emails. Like, I think that was one of the things that Lindsay said, double the recipe or freeze some stuff. And I was like, oh, tick, I'm already doing that. But for a reminder, maybe people in the past have been good at preparing in advance and freezing, and then because they're batch cooking, not necessarily having that as part of the way that you approach your preparing for the week, having those things already, or a couple of things that right, I can make this in 10 minutes and I can make a lot of it, that's really helpful as well, I think.
Awesome. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. So I know you said your son is 18 months old. Is that right?
15.
15. Okay.
Not quite.
Yeah, not quite. And so I guess I'm curious, like, are you trying to incorporate him into like solid foods and stuff like that? I mean, you're probably not feeding him from the meal mentor yet.
Yeah, he does.
Does he? Okay.
Eat some. So one of the reasons that I make so much of that tailgate chili is because he loves it. So nice. I don't put as much cayenne pepper in it. Mm-hmm. But he loves it. I was really surprised the first time. I think it's maybe the texture of the bulgur wheat, but I offer him things. So he usually just has like vegetables, so peas and corn. Mm-hmm. He loves tofu, which people find really weird, and soya beans, so edamame beans. And then I'll just offer him stuff. He didn't have very many teeth to start off with, so I didn't give him as many sort of crunchy things, but my whole attitude with him is that within the next sort of 3 to 6 months, he will be eating the same things as us, and he will be eating the Meal Mentor stuff. So the sooner he gets used to eating veg, and we eat a lot of broccoli in our house, so nice. He has to like broccoli, otherwise he will not be eating a lot. Yeah. The sooner he's used to having that attitude, those habits, I think are really important. And I actually got quite annoyed on the weekend because we went to a pub, because I don't know if you guys know, but the Soccer World Cup is on at the moment.
I'd heard
England, the semi-finals, so the whole place has gone crazy. And one of my husband's friends said, oh, well, when he gets to 12, he'll go to McDonald's and have a Big Mac anyway. And I just was like, I felt so deflated, because I just thought, well, that may happen, but it's not helpful for people to say that. And I think that's been one of my biggest challenges for myself, to not be afraid that people might be judging me for the choices I make for him, and really to have the courage of my convictions that I know what I'm doing is right, and regardless of what someone says, I just need to continue with it. So yeah.
That's a wonderful, you're coming from a place of strength, and I think I totally, like you're just going to occasionally encounter a situation like that where, maybe people aren't 100% supportive, or they're, I don't know, just teasing you a little bit, So, it's interesting. I think it's something that it gets easier to deal with, and maybe it's easier when it's yourself, but whenever you start involving kids, maybe it's a little, like, it's something you got to then get used to again. So, yeah. Well, so, all right. So I wanted to shift to kind of like what you think, like if somebody's getting started today, like what would be the recommendations you would have around, going plant-based, using the meal plans, in either one of those?
I think that the most important thing is to educate yourself a little bit. So I went onto a vegan diet. So I sort of like to differentiate between where I am now and where I was. So I was vegan. I still am, but plant-based, whole foods. Because I read a book about sort of the environmental impact. And so having that little bit of knowledge is really something that even when the time gets tough or you're finding it really difficult, it's something to hold on to. So being really clear about why you're doing it and having a little bit of knowledge to back up. So for me, it was environmental first and health second, and sort of the animal cruelty side of things came in later. But knowing what an impact sort of the meat and dairy industry has on our environment, that meant that even when it was really tough and I really wanted an omelette and some cheese, I could push myself through it and look for other alternatives. And I would say the second thing that's really important is to find a little bit of community and support. And I said this when I filled in the form, and now I'm going to sound all like gushy and fangirl, but one of the first blogs I found was Lindsay, and it wasn't long after she'd given up her job to start Happy Herbivore and really build it into something. And just knowing that there are other people out there who can support you and say, hey, what you're doing is fine. Ask questions if you want to. There's no stupid questions because you're learning and you're, I guess, informing yourself and giving yourself the tools. That is really important as well. And even if it's just that you find a couple of recipes or a couple of answers to your questions through that community, I think that can be a lifeline.
Wow.
And a third thing, if you mess up, that's not the end of the world. Just, reset yourself the next day, or if it's at the end of the weekend, then that's okay too. Like, I really love the progression, not perfection.
Yeah, progress, message. Not perfection. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, before you came to the diet, did you think that community was something that you were interested in or you were seeking at all?
Well, you may or may not have noticed, but I am, I process things verbally. So I can talk until the cows come home. So I always try and, if I've got a problem or I want to get an answer to something usually, or I'm annoyed at something, I will just talk about it, whether people want to hear about it or not. And so I don't understand why I didn't extend that to other areas of my life. And so I sort of was like, oh yeah, I'm signing up for the year of recipes, but it's nice that there's this Facebook forum that, I can, if there's something interesting, I can go on there. But within a couple of weeks, I was like in there messaging people, asking questions, replying, putting my little recipes up there, and look what I made, and I'm feeling great. And I was like, this is so nice, because they feel like people feel like they're your friends, even though they've known. Like, I feel like I know you, even though we've only met today. But it's that type of thing. And someone said the other day on the forum, I know Lindsay's not really our friend, but and it's that type of feeling that you don't know these people, but you've got something that's in common. You're both really we're all trying to improve ourselves. We're all trying to, whether it's weight loss, whether it's health, whether it's getting off medication for diabetes or heart conditions or whatever it is, we're all trying to achieve something through the same method. And so that shared sense of where we're going, it's really lovely. And it surprised me as well.
Yeah, so, yeah, I love how you put that, the shared sense of where we're going. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's really great. So, yeah, it was fantastic talking to you. I really appreciate it. The one last little question I wanted to do was, like, who should we interview next?
Well, so I sort of went back and had a look, and there's one girl, if she's listening, she'll be like, oh, it's me. That's what I felt when I got the email. I think her name is Anna.
Okay.
Anna Osborne, I think it is.
Okay.
And her profile picture, I think, sums up all her comments that she always gives are, this is amazing, well done you. And her profile picture is essentially her with like some sort of crazy hat on, like pulling this biggest smile. And it always makes me laugh or smile every time she comments. And so I would love to hear what her journey is and find out a bit more about her.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that. Well, thank you so much, Rose. We appreciate you coming on and sharing your experience with Meal Mentor and how the meal plans have worked for you and your family. It's been fantastic. I've really enjoyed it, and have a great day.
Thanks, and thanks everyone. Talk to you soon.
Bye.